So we've just read the scene with Rumor, who's carrying the gossip about Aeneas and Dido all around northern Africa, and she made a kind of beeline to Iarbas, who is a king of a neighboring area, and had wanted to either marry or at least form an alliance with Dido when she arrived. So we're going to find out that Iarbas is pretty ticked off that Dido went off and got married to Aeneas. So so this is Iarbas. So Hick, and we're going to hear that he was having been born from Ammon, and Ammon is kind of the Middle Eastern North African version of Jupiter. So this would have been the king god, and in a lot of myths and imagery, Jupiter and Ammon are pretty much the same, except Ammon sometimes has horns. So he, having been born from Ammon and from a raped Garamantian nymph, so not the most powerful god, and a nymph that we all know that Jupiter is not great about asking for permission when he has sex with divinities or mortals. So having been born from this, Iarbas placed or set up 100 huge temples to Jupiter in his wide kingdoms. And he also set up 100 altars. And he had sanctified the watchful flame. So remember the flame of the Vestals is what ends up getting taken to Rome from Troy, but this idea of having a watchful flame, that would be very significant to the Romans. And then excubias is in apposition to the flame. So eternal, watch people, eternal guardians of the gods. So Iarbas has set up all this religious, all the religious trappings because he's a very pious man. And then the earth was rich with the blood of cattle. So clearly he sacrificed cattle to Jupiter. And the thresholds were flourishing or flowering with various colored wreaths. So here he's in the middle of this divine area, and it's going to continue. So this is Iarbas again, amens, out of his mind. Literally, is a negative prefix, and mens is his mind. It's not amons, but I'm sure Virgil is like playing on that distinction. So Iarbas, out of his mind, in his spirit, or of his spirit, and inflamed by this bitter rumor that Aeneas and Dido have gotten married, he is said to have begged many things of Jupiter. So that those are two accusatives. So it's kind of he's begged many things and he's begging Jupiter. And he is said to have done this as a suppliant or as a humbly with his hands face up. And remember when we first meet Aeneas, he's got his hands outstretched. And he's said to do this in front of the altars and then in the midst of the divine spirits of the gods. So this first introduction we have of Iarbas is that he is a very holy and pious man. So this is going to be his speech to Jupiter. So he says, all-powerful Jupiter, to whom now, and then the Moorish race, so this is referring to Iarbas's clan race in northern Africa, the Moorish race, having dined upon painted couches, that race now pours Bacchic honors, pours wine as a libation. So we are this pious race that is like doing the rituals that are supposed to appease you. Do you see this? Do you see what's going on? Literally, do you see these things? Or do we shudder in vain at you? Are we scared of you? But do we shudder in vain at you, Father, when you hurl your lightning bolts? So, or are you just a wimp god and we think you're powerful when you hurl the lightning bolts, but you're not? And do Kaiki, meaningless. Inane flames terrify our spirits, and inane flames in the clouds. And do these like meaningless flames stir up empty murmurs? So he's basically like, are you a powerful god or are you not? You know, because if you see this and you're letting it go, then clearly you're not a powerful god, and we've been worshiping you and we've been terrified of you for no reason. Femina. So he doesn't even refer to Dido by name. The woman who, wandering into our territory. So this is as if she's just wandering. She set up a tiny little city for a price. So basically he's saying, I sold her this land. So, or gave. To whom, so this is also femina, so both quai and kui refer back to the femina, who's Dido, and to whom we gave land to be plowed, a shoreline to be plowed, and the laws of the place, or this is almost like a title. This woman has repelled our offers of marriage, and she has received Master Aeneas into her kingdom. So he's like, is this really true that she is, we sold her a small plot of land, we gave her, we sold her an area, we gave her a land, and now she's rejected us and she's going with Aeneas. What does he have? And then this is now he focuses attention on Aeneas. And now Ile Paris, that Paris, and that's an insult. Remember, Paris was the guy who started the Trojan War. He's the guy that ran off and chose love over the safety of his own state. So a strong, powerful man like Iarbas would look down on Paris. That Paris, with his half-man retinue, his half-man, his unmasculine entourage, and then having been bound up with respect to his chin and his dripping hair, his oily hair, meaning oily with perfumes and oils. He wears too much hair product. And he's been bound up with respect to his chin and his hair with a Eastern bonnet. So he's wearing this goofy hat. He's got this overly styled hairstyle. This Paris, this half man, potitor, this is deponent, he takes ownership of Rapto, what's been snatched, i.e. Dido. So Dido has rejected Iarbas, and Aeneas comes prancing in with his half-man entourage, and he's wearing a goofy hat, and he's got greasy hair, and he's taking possession of what he snatched up, what he's stolen. And then quippe, remember, this is that like that, just frustration. And we are bringing gifts or offering to your temples, and we are cherishing your empty reputation. So he's like, this guy just has come into Northern Africa and has Dido, and what's the point? Why are we, praying to you and being suppliant when it's not getting us anywhere? That's basically what Iarbas is saying.